And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And ladies and gentlemen, my God, it's February 1st. We made it out of January. And there's big news to come because we have some big, literally minutes ago dropped from Jeff Keighley, obviously executive producer of the Game Awards. He said something that not only was extremely interesting, but very relevant to the conversation that all of us were having yesterday when Sony, SIE, and PlayStation announced the acquisition of Bungie. That's right, the makers of Destiny, and of course the original creators of Halo. They are now first party, but will be operating independently. It's a very interesting conversation of how that is going to work. I watched Hogue Law's video this morning when I was doing some cleaning around the house. And listen, if you ever listen to Hogue, that dude is the smartest guy in the room every time he walks in. And he walked away with a big question mark. He says, listen, I do these kind of acquisitions and I've never seen anything quite like this. That's saying something if Hogue Law is actually saying it. But we have a ton of topics to get into. We're going to be getting into some acquisition talk, of course, because it is a relevant conversation. We're going to be talking about CrossfireX, Lord Roughness. That one is for you, my brother. We're also going to be talking about, guess what? MLB The Show 22 in Xbox Game Pass, confirmed yesterday, as a matter of fact. And that is a big deal because Xbox players are going to get the next gen version for the price of free. That's not so much happening for Sony fans who are, if you buy it for the PlayStation 5, are paying $76.43 for that version. Ouch is all I can say. But let's get into the introductions. And you're going to see we have a smaller panel because Pong Sol is taking care of some work business. Boxenberger, our good friend from Germany, he is taking care of some family business. So I called in, I hit the bat signal, I called in the troops, and I got some excellent people to fill those seats to give their opinions. And we're going to start first with one half of Living Split Screen, one of the loudest and most awesome guys in the community that has just been dropping bombs every time him and Pong do an episode. Steel Rain, what's going on, brother?
Boom, Dominus Maximus at 10K. You have finally reached over that.
Yes,
spectrum.
thank you.
But congratulations and love for that. Boom, like I always tell you, man, since the beginning, you've been nothing but a motivation to me. And
thank
so
you.
Anytime that you send out that signal and I'm available, man, I'm here, ready and willing to sit down within the kingdom of Boom and just talk everything that's going on within the gaming industry. Look, man, the news just keeps ramping up, and like people have been saying, it's only January now going into February. In February, we have so many games coming.
Dude, yeah.
So much more news on the horizon. Let's get to it, man. Too many topics to get to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we're going to go from billion-dollar acquisitions, especially in the month of February, to just playing some absolutely epic games, starting with Horizon Zero Dawn, middle of the month. You got the Souls-like game coming out a week later. Elden Ring, which I'm actually buying, and I have a feeling I'm going to quite enjoy that. Because I read an article where they didn't dumb down the difficulty, but because it's so open world that it gives you the ability to do other ways of just running at the boss. I love it. And if it plays like Breath of the Wild, and it kind of looks like it does, I'm going to be all in on that. But we have to welcome back the prodigal son himself, Zemi Games. What's going on, brother? How are you? Welcome back to the program.
The prodigal son. You know, I think that's the first time you ever referred to me as that. I like that. You should keep doing that. I don't know. No, I'm super excited to be here. Boom. Of course, man. You sent out the invite early this morning, and how could I refuse? You know what I mean? You literally gave me the offer I couldn't refuse, right? I mean, how can I refuse to be on the Xbox Factor? No, super excited to be here. Can't wait to talk about the Bungie Sony deal. Yeah, super excited, man.
Yeah, we can't wait. Mr. Joanna Dark, brother, welcome back to the program. Are you excited to be here and talk about these incredible acquisitions Obviously, we're going to be getting into the Bungie talk, and I'm very happy for Sony. I'm very happy for PlayStation. I'm happy for their fans because I don't care what the press release says. I think that anything they do moving forward, Destiny 3, the secret project they're working out right now, are going to be exclusive. If you think otherwise, and Bungie can say whatever they want, I think that you don't give someone $3.6 billion and say, okay, go crazy, do whatever you want. It makes no sense. But welcome back, brother.
Thank you. I think this is why Peter Dinklage just yesterday turned on randomly because the news that happened with the acquisition of Sony and 3.6 billion. But I think it's great. I think it's overall solidified that we're going to have Destiny and content, and basically Bungie's going to be able to continue to be more creative.
Yes.
I'm excited to be on here. Zemi, I heard Zemi got acquired by Boom, so I also am waiting for that 10K bag.
There you go.
So I'll see to that. But it's a pleasure, especially Steel Rain. Love the show. I love putting that in the morning and listening to you and Pong. So it's great to have you here on the podcast to kind of talk games and kind of give our takes on all this crazy news. I mean,
100%.
We think New Year starts on January 1st, but no, this is New Year's right now. And it's like I close my eyes, right? And I'm like, wait, and I get a ping, and I'm like, oh my, it's like I can't even keep with the news. I'm listening to podcasts, and all of a sudden, oh, let me get away from that podcast. Let me go and check the news out. It's just crazy. But I'm excited.
It's funny because both times that these big acquisitions happened, the first time I actually was coming up with the wash for the Activision Blizzard, and Kay Asante had given me called me, and he's like, "Hey, dude, did you see what happened?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Dude, I thought Phil Spencer's account got hacked." I said, "That's a hack. There's no way. That's impossible." Yeah. And then yesterday we happened to be on the phone talking because we were getting ready for the talk about the show Primetime Gaming, which you missed last night was fantastic. And he's like, wait, hold on, boom, breaking news. And I'm like, oh my God, you're kidding me. I got to get this guy on the phone more often because this is becoming a running joke. And we got the news that Bungie was, it was announced that Bungie will be acquired by Sony, SIE. And I think it's huge for Sony on a multitude of levels. Again, I know that they're saying that their stuff is going to be, they're not closing down Destiny 2, but they kept mentioning Destiny 2, Destiny 2, Destiny 2. I think that if there's ever a 3, that's exclusive. I don't care what they say in the press release or what they're going to try and, put Boom off, whatever. But
do you think we, as, one of the things I keep hearing is, it all makes sense, the partnership and, Bungie being able to expand Destiny, not only to just video games, to maybe other mediums.
The film aspect, film and TV
I would also love to see Destiny maybe branch out into a story-driven kind of Sony spectacular game to give you more lore.
Love that, dude. I think that something, that's the first time I'm hearing that, and I think you're onto something. I think
we found out who the traveler is. It was Jim Ryan saying, "Hey, Bungie, come
over, bring me home, please." Well, listen, folks, we got some more breaking news here. Now, it depending on whether or not you consider this breaking news or I think it's important to the conversation. So we're going to run with this particular topic, and I want to bring Jeff Keighley into the conversation. Obviously, if you don't know who Jeff Keighley is, he is, of course, the executive producer of the Game Awards. He is obviously going to be doing something over the summer with being that there is no digital or physical E3. He's going to be running his show. G4 is going to be doing something. Microsoft, Sony, everyone's going to be doing their own thing. So it's going to be a very, very busy summer. And of course, Double Barrel Gaming will have you covered 24/7 because we're going to be covering every event. Even if I got to run 7 days a week for that week, I will in fact do it. But this is what he had to say on Twitter 46 minutes ago. And I think that it is incredibly interesting and certainly relevant to the conversation that we were just having with Bungie and Microsoft and Activision and Sony. And he says this, folks, have heard from multiple people. As you might suspect, there are a few other big video game deals in the final stages of negotiations. It's going to be an interesting year. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I just got goosebumps because I'm always ready to hear who's buying what. And to be honest with you, I'm in the mindset that I care, but I don't care if it's Sony or Microsoft, because we know that they're buying these publishers and these studios to preserve gaming. You see, where that gets perverted is when you have companies like Tencent and Amazon and Apple and Google. It's a business, and I'm not saying that Microsoft and Sony are not thinking about that, but they are trying to preserve gaming, whereas these other entities are simply looking to make money. And when you do that, this is how studios get ruined. You know, if Apple were let's say to buy X publisher, there's a good chance that if it doesn't work well and it doesn't make them enough money quick enough, that entity is gone. They will cut it off. They'll cut the arm off, and then there goes that publisher / a bunch of studios that we'll never see again. And we don't want to see that happening. But on the heels of that tweet, minutes later, he tweeted again, and he says this: "What are your thoughts on the general consolidation we're seeing? Is it good for games? I'm on the fence." And I actually wrote to him, and I don't know if I got a response or not, but this is what I had to say to Jeff. I said, "I love seeing it, Jeff Keighley. I think with the price of making games / new IPs in this era of gaming, smaller companies like Insomniac Games, Ninja Theory, inXile, and many others may not still be around if it weren't for Microsoft and Sony. Both of these platforms preserve gaming." So I want to go first to our guest, and I'll start with Steel Rain. Steel,
Okay.
I want you to comment on Jeff Keighley's original tweet about other acquisitions coming. This is going to be a crazy year, and then I want you to back end that with your ideology behind the general consolidation, good for gaming or not.
Okay. So yeah, let's start with Jeff Keighley's tweet. Final steps of negotiations. There could be a lot of different things that could be happening as far as that goes. Could the Square Enix rumors be true as far as Sony trying to finalize the things on that? But also the saying goes, why buy the cow where you can get the milk for free? So, I mean, it kind of doesn't make sense on that aspect. But again, with everyone trying to lock down, these bigger publishers trying to come in and kind of step into the space, I think that's the one thing that Microsoft and Sony are both kind of fearful of. I know people have kind of had the conversation that, oh, I bet Microsoft and Sony are probably behind the scenes like, hey, Phil, hey, Ryan, how about we get this so they don't get this? And how about we do this? And oh, if you get that, I'll get this. And we'll make sure everything is good to go. And I wish that it was like that. I'd love to be a fly on the wall to hear those types of conversations, because that's definitely interesting. And if that is happening, then that just kind of shows you, kind of leaves credence to the bigger picture and just what the gaming industry is overall about. We want players in the industry who understand not just the consumer, but what it takes to make good games, no matter what your perspective is on that, whether it's third person, first person, action adventure, JRPGs, WRPGs, whatever they are. We want people that know the understanding and don't want to take it the route as some are kind of seeing, where they want to add NFTs or they want to add all the extra microtransactions or whatever it may be that we end up going into the future with. The biggest thing that makes sense for me right now is probably a Square Enix deal of some sort. That would definitely ring home. Again, Final Fantasy just rings home for a lot of people, brings people in, especially with being such an iconic franchise. Could it be something going on with Microsoft? Who knows? I know a lot of people are saying, oh, it can't do anything else. They're going to have to wait a year. That's not going to prevent Microsoft, especially with the kind of sachet that they have.
To add to your point with exactly what you're saying, yes, they're not buying another publisher this year, right? But that does not stop them from getting an IO, a Crystal Dynamics, and Eidos Montreal. Pick your favorite Avalanche Studios. Remember that they are currently working closely with them, and the whole Crystal Dynamics, unless something unbelievably shocking happens, I think that's already a done deal, because and here's why. And I'll hand the mic back over to you. They were thrown under the bus in the worst. I've never seen anything quite like it. To be honest with you, I have never seen. I've been gaming for 40 plus years and been covering this industry for the last 4. I have never seen anything quite like that lashing that they took publicly. Now, that tells me, Rain, that if you do that, you kind of cut all ties with that. I mean, what do you think the motivation is going to be for said developer to work for said publisher? It's not going to be one.
Exactly.
So I think that is a done deal only because of where they are in right now with Perfect Dark. But please continue.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it kind of like the saying goes too, you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you, right? And when you continuously like kind of downplay your dev talent, the same thing that they did with Bend, saying that, hey, your game just wasn't that great, wasn't that successful as we wanted it to be. So we're not going to give you the green light for that second game. It gives you a different perspective of kind of how to look at things. And like in that same example, if I was Crystal Dynamics, I wouldn't be like, I don't know if I want to continue doing this little partnership we got over here and continue to keep things copacetic. But just to kind of reel it back, and I saw some people say that, oh, Sony could buy EA. I don't think that's going to be one of the play either. I know a lot of people have been kind of going back and forth between EA and Ubisoft and everything else. The main thing for EA and Ubisoft for me, though, is that they have their hands so deep into both sides. I don't think that either way, unless it really came down to, Tencent's knocking on the door or Embracer's knocking on the door, Microsoft, Sony, what do you want to do? We're taking our price to the next level. Who's going to pay? Kind of situation ends up happening.
Still,
to keep things copacetic. But yeah, go ahead.
And not to interrupt, sorry.
You're good.
But do you think, since you were talking about EA, do you think maybe rumors about EA and maybe Ubisoft saying, hey, we like each other, maybe we want to kind of come together in a partnership, maybe that
would be extremely interesting, especially seeing how I'm not necessarily going to say EA's on a downfall or whatever, but obviously they are struggling with Battlefield and there are some other things going on in the back end. EA has kind of gone through their own tribes. I mean, I think that would be extremely unique. That would definitely be a way to kind of combine forces together and create their own kind of entity outside of themselves, although I still kind of feel like EA and both Ubisoft themselves kind of have the sachet that they want, especially with the kind of deals that they have with Microsoft currently. Well, I guess we'll find out as far as Ubisoft goes. But
and the reason I asked this is the fact that if you look at EA, right, Apex Legend, when Battlefield didn't have issues, they're great at having titles that they can monetize.
Right.
The thing with Ubisoft is Ubisoft wants to do that, but they just haven't hit lightning like with the Division. So it's kind of like, hey, I know something how to do well. Ubisoft, hey, we have so many studios. We know how to create these big worlds. We have an engine that does that. Can we come together and maybe we can finally hit, strike gold?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that could definitely be a potential, but it's one of those things to where do they have enough capital to make that acquisition between each other, or is it going to be one of those things to where another one of the bigger groups are going to just come in and be like, we're not going to be able to do it that way because they're going to keep them separate. Now, it'd be interesting to see if Microsoft acquired them both, and then that would kind of answer that question for you at that point. I mean, it would definitely be interesting to see. Am I anticipating that? Not necessarily, just because of how they've both kind of gone so at this point, but I guess we'll see. As far as the whole acquisition situation goes, it's so hard to say when things swing so far one way and then the other. We thought the whole ZeniMax deal was like, oh man, this is the greatest thing ever. And then to see Microsoft make their biggest acquisition in their company's history in gaming, with the whole Activision Blizzard deal, it kind of opens the space up to where I don't know what's possible. I don't know what's going to end up happening. Can Sony go into more debt to acquire whatever they want just to make sure that, because of course they're going to get it at that low interest rate so they can make that money back, which is why they can make purchases like Bungie, why they can make other possible purchases like Capcom or FromSoft or anything like that to kind of use those different plays at their advantage. So it's just really hard to tell, man. That's why I typically try to stay on the opposite end of it and be like, okay, let's get some more information and to kind of go from there.
Still,
yeah.
Since we're talking about this whole acquisition, and correct me if I'm wrong, didn't NetEase invest in Bungie?
They absolutely did, but I believe Sony bought them out.
Okay.
Yeah, that was part of that deal. That was part of that deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was part of that $3.6 billion deal that they did with them. Although there's a lot of more speculation in that deal that could be had, along with exclusivity rights or just whether Bungie owns the complete rights to Bungie, to Destiny itself, and whether everything is going to stay multi-plat and everything. But it's going to be interesting to see. As far as just bringing it back to Jeff Keighley's whole aspect, on the second half, saying, what are your thoughts on the general consolidation we're seeing, and is it good for games? I think that it is, mainly because, again, the point keeps getting rung home that games are becoming more and more and more expensive to create.
Yep.
If you want your single player experiences to continue to exist, in the way that you like them, as you say, they're movies, kind of like, then something has to fund them. Nobody's going to keep spending $100 to $500 million on these games to not see that income come back to them within a good amount of time. In 3 to 5 years to see that income come back is not very sufficient. Jim Ryan has said it. Phil said it. There's been multiple people that have come on and say, hey, I mean, we got to do something different, because I'm not satisfied with what we're getting right now, which is kind of why we're moving into the age of accessibility. And the more that people can realize that, hey, the more people that can get put under these different, I know we call them the big three, right? Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony. And the main reason why we want them to be, why we root for those, is because we know that they understand what gaming is about. Yep. We understand that Phil's a gamer, even though Jim Ryan is not necessarily a gamer, but he still understands how.
But he's a money
works.
Man, and
exactly.
Listen. I know we talk about him, dance shoes, Jim Ryan, and all that other stuff. But listen, folks. He is going to do things that probably going to piss off a lot of PlayStation purists, but you have to look at what he did in Europe. Xbox was being clobbered 8-1 in that region. That was because of his tenacity. He didn't let go, and that's why they made him the head of Sony, the head of PlayStation. So
yeah, I mean, exactly. But you want people who have an understanding of what's going on. At least for me as a gamer, I want to be able to turn my Xbox on. It's not going to be filled with ads. Or when I play a game, it's not, you just beat this level. You want to buy some microtransactions to level up to the next level? It's like, no, I don't want that. I just want my cohesive experience, and for me to feel fully enveloped in these worlds without have to go into VR or whatever the case. So that's the main.
We saw that with Bethesda, right?
Right.
They were all about the single player experience, right?
Yep.
And all of a sudden, their last 3 titles were, hey, how can we monetize so we can actually fund our other games? And it suffered because you looked at a company that was looking for capital to continue to fund these experiences.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's always going to be my point. And it's asinine to me, mainly because a lot of people take like I always say on our show on Live Split Screen, you got to take that RTS view, that real-time strategy, pull yourself out of the world and really look at the darker crevices of the map so you can find those resources and see what the potential is within the industry overall. Because all this is going to do is fund those projects that you wanted to play or that you've heard about in the long run. So like, for an example, if you hear something like a StarCraft Ghost come out, it doesn't get canned to the side. Instead it gets put in internally, say, okay, how can we do this? And now with Microsoft, that is a possibility, which is the same thing kind of like with Bungie. Why I think this is so important for Bungie. No, is it good for, I feel like Microsoft backed out of the deal because, like you stated earlier, behind the scenes a little bit, Boom, that Microsoft has enough going on. And then also, if the rumors are true, and we don't know, but according to Jez Corden from Windows Central, a great guy, but according to him, that Bungie was in talks with Microsoft to get acquired, and actually was for less money, and Microsoft didn't see the value.
Wasn't it 2.6 billion? That's what I saw.
It was something around that number, 100%.
It was 2.6. But again, I think you're onto something here. Look, Bungie's extremely talented. Their shooting mechanics, best in the business.
Yes.
Hands down, best in the business. There's not even a question. Now, does Halo match it? New Halo for sure. I love what they did with Halo, but the bottom line is that Microsoft does not need Bungie, and it's no offense to Bungie because they're incredibly talented, and I love Destiny. I mean, I put 1,500 hours between both games, and you can go look up the stats. But the point here is that for that kind of money, they could go out and for that, let's say for instance, 2.6 billion. They could probably acquire 5 studios: IO Interactive, Crystal D, Eidos Montreal, Avalanche Studios. Add your favorite flavor in there,
right?
And they walk away with 5 studios. They don't need Bungie. PlayStation needs Bungie.
PlayStation needs multiplayer games overall, and they need people who have expertise in that field. Now,
which is what Jim Ryan said during that interview right after it was announced.
Exactly.
It's like building a team, right? A baseball team, a basketball team. Exactly. If I have the best shortstop, the best catcher, why would I get another catcher that basically I put on the bench that's a starter. Doesn't make any sense. It's redundant. So with what I think we were talking about this, about the fact that we talk about, well, Microsoft, they have a lot of the shooters, right?
Mhm.
Why would they need another shooter when they already have that? They have a lot of the technology with Activision Blizzard and King. They have it with Bethesda with a lot of their stuff on there. So it makes sense that Bungie goes over to PlayStation to help them on something that they need to fill not only their infrastructure but their portfolio.
Right. And the biggest reason I'm using Bungie in this whole consolidation kind of, you want to call it argument or just discussion overall, is mainly because Bungie has had a hard time, especially after being teamed up with Activision, on monetizing their game and it being successful. So Bungie has also sunset and pulled away a lot of their content out of their game due to size reasons or whatever else the case may be, which has kind of caused me to step back from Destiny because I'm tired of investing so much of my time, energy, and effort, because that's what Destiny is, for better or worse. It's a living game, and if you don't keep up with it, you get left behind and you're lost in the sauce. So for them to constantly be pulling content, I want this to hopefully be a way for them to have some good financial backing behind them, somebody who 100% supports their vision. I don't care whether it's multi-plat, exclusive, whatever the case may be. I wanted to do whatever is going to be great for Bungie. It's the same thing with the whole Activision Blizzard deal. It's not about keeping games exclusive or whatever else the case may be. Although one side of your although Microsoft Xbox gives you more ways to play than anybody else, but what it's about is giving the devs a way out, letting the devs have creative freedom, allowing the devs to live within the industry for longer than the 5-year time span that they currently have. How would you like to go into your job and know that you're only going to be there for 5 years? It's not a good thought. It's not a good feeling. You want to, especially in something that I would imagine most of the game devs are very extremely passionate about. Like, a shout out to the homie Everborn Saga. Gaming is art and should be treated as such.
Yep.
And until people really understand that and start realizing that, maybe then you'll start seeing why the purpose of this whole consolidation thing is, and what the bigger picture is, instead of, we're gonna have a oligopoly and duopoly and all. That's not what it's about. Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony have proven that they do care for the gamer, although they still do have to make the money on their back end. Nobody's blind to that. If you are, I don't know what to tell you. I got a barn down the street that got burnt down yesterday. I can sell you. That's just the way it is. I don't think it's a bad thing as far as consolidation goes. And I hope it doesn't do anything but help the ones that needed the help continue to move forward and we get better IP out of it. So.
And I absolutely agree. Zemi Games, let's get your opinion on this, brother. You're our second special guest. This was a big shocker for a lot of people. But again, give us your opinion on the deal. But I really want to focus on what Jeff Keighley had to say, because obviously Jeff is probably one of the most connected people in the industry, obviously, for the reason of the Game Awards alone. And he knows Phil. He knows Jim. He knows Bowser. He knows everybody in the industry. And if he's confident enough to get out there and say, "Hey, look out, because this year is going to be crazy," that has me excited, because I want to know who's buying who and what's becoming exclusive or not. So first, give us your opinion on the Bungie deal, and then obviously circle back with what Jeff had to say.
Yeah, I mean, so for the Bungie deal, I think it's great news. I really do. Especially for Bungie, I think it's great news. But also for PlayStation, of course, for Sony, because historically they have made some absolutely fantastic single player games. That is for sure their strongest suit.
Yep.
And for the longest time, they've had to rely so heavily on third-party multiplayer games for their audience that wants multiplayer. And of course, from the press release, Bungie is going to stay, independent, and their games are still going to be multi-plat. But what Bungie is going to be able to do is give other PlayStation teams advice and resources to help, potentially make the next, Killzone, or help me out, because I don't know very many Sony, multiplayer games, but the next ones of those too.
Yeah.
I don't really play PlayStation multiplayer.
So
But-
Zemi, they did make a couple of multiplayer games. So
Yes.
the ones they did, it was the Mag. The other
Mhm.
one was a one that not people talk about, that they try to do sort of the Destiny, which was called Dust 514 by
Mhm.
CCP, which was supposed to be an extension of EVE Online. And I played the game, and at the end of the PlayStation 3, it just didn't catch on as well. So they've done those type of multiplayer games before.
And Uncharted had multiplayer too, didn't it?
Yep. Uncharted, The Last of Us.
which is coming back. Factions is coming back. I
SOCOM.
think
Factions, yeah.
SOCOM is the one that everyone has been asking for, and I
love
believe we've heard rumors that Sony's currently working on it. That's going to be like a big announcement. People are going to go crazy because SOCOM is an incredible franchise. It's an IP that saw unbelievable success.
They even tried Siphon Filter.
Yeah, Siphon Filter would be one to bring back also for sure. But I think that the SOCOM one is important to keep that multiplayer element conversation going. And I think that them acquiring Bungie gets them the expertise on how to do that.
Exactly.
How do we bring SOCOM back? Okay, you do it this way, and that's why they acquire them. Continue, Zemi.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's my main point. And I understand that PlayStation does have some first party multiplayer games, or some, games that have multiplayer elements to them. But even with that, PlayStation hasn't released, a game with multiplayer to the success of Halo, or to the success of Gears of War, for instance, the same way that Microsoft has. And so, this Bungie acquisition, I think, makes a lot of sense for their company, and we'll see Sony come out with more multiplayer games that really succeed in the market, more so than what they have been doing historically, like this last generation, like the PS4 generation, for instance. As far as the multiplat, I actually really like that. I mean, I talk on this show, or used to talk on this show all the time, about how much I really don't like, established franchises becoming exclusive. And I've talked about that to death. But I really like the idea that PlayStation is at least pushing, as of right now, of keeping, a lot of like the Bungie IP, for instance, really Destiny multiplat. Whenever I read that press release, my take from it is that their plan as of right now is to have potentially Destiny 3, whenever that comes out, to go to Xbox and other platforms as well. At least that was my takeaway, which I really like that. And I do think it does in some way make business sense. I think that Sony is likely going to make more money by publishing the game everywhere than just having the game on their console and PC, and potentially maybe having MLB go to the Xbox might have, they might have really seen an amazing increase. I'm not sure, and that might have made it where Bungie made it where PlayStation is more inclined to allowing Bungie games to be multiplat. Then again, it might just be written in the contract that they signed with Bungie for the sell that, for X amount of years, all games are going to be multiplat, right? So who knows? As far as the whole idea of like where the industry is heading and so on and so forth on the back end of your question, Boom, I think that there's a lot of fear. Like, I think that there's a lot of people that are afraid of the direction that the industry is heading, not just in the sense of consolidation, but even in the sense of services like Xbox, Game Pass. I think that, change, the industry is changing, and it's changing really quickly. And I think for some people that, that's, creating a lot of fear in them. And, a lot of the people that are against, the consolidation of the gaming industry, I think a lot of their reasons are pretty much primarily due to fear. As far as, is this going to be great for the industry? Is this going to be terrible for the industry? I think that we're going to see a mix of both. I think we're going to see more good happen from it than bad. Yeah. But I think to say that there's not going to be any bad, would be a mistake, right? I think it kind of falls into, into the gray area. I think that, these companies getting this extra funding is going to help gaming, move forward, and it's going to allow developers to continue innovating and creating amazing worlds for all of us players to play in. But I think that there is the potential for there to be a dark side. I think that, there is a world in which some of our favorite studios may, under potentially maybe bad leadership or maybe changed leadership, may underperform, and then Microsoft or Sony or whoever else decides to start buying these amazing studios might decide to close shop. Right. And I think that is a possibility. How likely? I mean, we could talk about that forever, but to say that it's not likely, I mean, or to say that it could maybe not likely, but to say that it could never happen, I think would be a mistake, because we've seen it happen, hundreds of times, before in this industry. And we've seen Microsoft do it, and we've seen Sony do it. Right. We've seen both of these massive companies close up shop for studios before. And I think that is one potential, negative that could happen from rapid consolidation is the closure of some studios. And then, of course, there's all the things that we haven't even potentially thought of, all the problems that could arise that we never even thought about happening. But for the most part, I'm inclined to believe that it is better for the industry than it is worse. And, this type of thing happens in all industry. If Pong was here, he would say it. It happens in all industries, right? It's just now happening to the games industry. I'm not a part of the doom and gloom club where, everything's going to fall and we're not going to have any games here in 3 years. Like, none of that's going to happen. But I do think it's important to recognize that, a lot of these people's concerns are not, are not completely unfounded. Like, there is some reason to be somewhat maybe worried about some negatives happening due to massive consolidation. But once again, I don't think I think that we're going to see more good from it than bad.
100%. Real quick, I'm getting a lot of DMs with the report, and I saw this, and it's meaning nothing. The U.S. FTC is looking to review the Microsoft Activision deal, folks. That's standard fare. Normally, it's the DOJ, Department of Justice, that does it, and they kind of raise their hands of it. So the FTC is going to look into the deal. The one concern that comes out of the Bloomberg report is that they're going to own Call of Duty, and that somehow they're going to dominate the conversation. Phil's already said that Call of Duty is still on PlayStation. So this deal is, if you're cheering in the stands that you think this deal is not going to happen, you stop dancing, because
I think this means the opposite.
Yeah, it basically, because if the Department of Justice would have launched an investigation into it, it would have held it up for years.
Yep,
and they went like this, because it's business. The FTC looking into it again, it's just standard fare. But you got to also understand, Microsoft has a lot of friends in Washington. They just got approved to the contract for the Department of Defense. Listen, this deal's going through. It's not that big of a deal. It really isn't. And one of the topics that we're going to back end the conversation of is why Call of Duty staying on PlayStation means nothing. It literally means nothing. I thought at first I was like, yeah, exclusive, but you know what? They don't need it to be exclusive. But we're gonna actually get into that. But I want to get Mr. Joanna Dark's opinion on this, and then we're gonna move on to CrossfireX, folks. That I'm very excited for this Remedy first-person shooter. We're going to break that down, but I have to catch up with some of the super chats. The first one of the day comes to us from generous friend of the show. Chaos Mite drops an outstanding $5 super chat. He says, CrossfireX, let's go. And yes, we're talking about that next. Arigato Sir drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, sadly, I don't think Microsoft won't buy any until the Blizzard deal closes, especially since the Bloomberg report of the FTC will be investigating the deal. Like I said, it's really standard fare. It's nothing nefarious here whatsoever. They're taking on a sinking ship, and because of the size of the sinking ship, people want to raise eyebrows. This happens every day in business. This is not that big of a deal. But let me get one more. We have Sith Lord, generous friend of the show. He he has I'm reading Joanna Dark. He says they have the desire to complete this. Yes, they do. Of good old Jimbo and good old Philly. But Sith Lord drops a $2 super chat and says the return of the Zemi Games made my Tuesday. Thank you. Well, look at that. You got fans of their Zemi Games. Welcome back.
Who knew? Who knew I had fans?
Who knew? Mr. Joanna Dark, though, what are your thoughts on the Bungie deal? And again, like everyone else, give us your opinions on what was just tweeted now an hour ago by Jeff Keighley, who has basically confirmed some big deals coming this year because they're in the final negotiations. What are your thoughts on both? Oh, you muted, brother.
Sorry. I guess I want to throw this to the panel in the sense of the whole thing with Jeff Keighley. I guess we're all about, hey, who's acquiring who, but what if this is, since we talked about, we have Activision, Blizzard kind of going through right now with the FTC. What if these are deals that are being made to maybe have partnerships like with Xbox Global Publishing? One of the things I've always said, hey, what if EA and Microsoft went into a contract where they said, hey, every Madden is going to be for the next 5 years, day one on Game Pass.
It's certainly a possibility. Yeah.
So what if some of these deals are smaller things where maybe it's partnerships where you kind of have them where they're saying, hey, we're going to be funding this next game and maybe coming to the service. My next thing is, it's so many things are being acquired. Like, I think you guys made a good point of maybe, an IO or maybe a Crystal Dynamics being announced, something small. Or maybe something out of nowhere that we didn't know that Microsoft or maybe Sony was working.
Another one that works closely with Microsoft. Certain Affinity is working on a Monster Hunter exclusive for Xbox. They're also bringing potentially a battle royal mode to Halo. They seem, again, I see a possibility this summer that Phil gets up there and says, hey, we want to announce that where these 4 or 5 teams have joined Xbox Game Studios, and I think it's going to be everyone we just said, because they're all currently working with Microsoft on extensive many year-long projects. It doesn't make any sense for them not to pick them up.
And then another thing is, one thing we haven't talked about, and it just came to my head because I was reading it the other day. What if Platinum Games goes to Nintendo, since they've been working with Nintendo, and we knew that I think somebody left from Platinum Games.
Yeah, the head of the studio left. Yeah,
we don't talk about maybe Nintendo making acquisitions, and we've seen some games like Bayonetta, and think again, this is just me far-fetched thinking. We can also leave out the house that built Mario. On the Bungie side, I think this is great. I think we were talking in the back, and it just makes sense. We talk about, hey, PlayStation needs to react. They don't. They need to continue to make strategic purchases that make sense for them. So in the sense of Bungie, they have now a developer that can help them with some of their games, which is more multiplayer focused, which is some of the things that they're missing in their kind of whole portfolio that they have. And then second to that, the kind of helping them with that infrastructure. Again, if you look at stuff like when they purchased Sprite, Firesprite, they make VR games. We have PSVR coming to. We have Insomniac that also makes some really great VR games. Then you go in and they purchased Firesprite. Then you have, what was it? Nixus. Hey, we want to bring our games to more people. Hey, let's get someone that can make PC ports. And again, that's because Sony says, hey, why do we need to build this that can take for years? Why don't we get companies that have those things that we need so we can kind of bring them in there and then from them grow it the way we want to grow it, right? That whole organic growth thing, right? And then when you look at on the side of Microsoft, hey, we need IPs because we know PlayStation has some of these staple IPs that are like gold, right? So let's go ahead and get something like Bethesda. Let me get somebody like Activision. So now that we have the infrastructure, because we are a technology company and we offer services, we can build these great IPs. One of the things that kind of hit me yesterday when I was watching the video for Hogue Law is the way I guess everything was worded. It sounds like even though they purchased Bungie, it sounds more like a partnership. The way everything was written in the contract. And I think, wasn't it similar that Bungie kind of had the same deal with Activision to an extent, but they ended up purchasing Destiny away from Activision? Or I may be wrong, but it just sounds similar to how when they operated with Activision to an extent. and now they're here on the Sony side, going independently. Can anybody confirm that?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
get Zemi Games.
No, I mean that was actually one thing that I thought of whenever I heard about this. Is I was like, wow. I mean, like obviously we heard rumors about Bungie being acquired, but it was still kind of shocking to me because Bungie kind of seems like they're a studio that they want to be free, they just can't be free because they need funding, right? But yeah, we did see something very, very similar with Activision, and because the way that the contract was signed, or just how different things developed. Yeah, I mean, Bungie was able to leave out of that agreement, and and you're right, it may be something very, very similar here as well. Here in 5-10 years, we may hear of an article where Bungie is leaving Sony. Who knows, right?
Could.
And one thing Hoglog, and I want to bring this up so I can get to the last part and we can kind of move on. He said that at the moment, Sony can say, okay, cool, we're going to go multi-plat and continue to do that. But at one point, they can renegotiate after they acquire them to maybe say, hey, maybe we want certain things to be exclusive to the PlayStation platform. And that was something interesting that I found. I think it's great because, again, with Call of Duty, and we don't know anything about Call of Duty, and it's a way of Sony now having a games as a service that can bring in revenue. So again, everyone here was talking the panel about funding those games that we want, right? We want more of the Ghost of Tsushimas. We want more of the, unfortunately Days Gone's not coming back, but maybe something from Bend. Right. And it just overall helps. On the consolidation part, we're not going to know. Are there good and bad parts? Of course. But, one of the things that I used to love in an old studio, maybe you guys know it, Looking Glass Studios. They made System Shock.
Wow. Yeah.
They're no longer here.
Nope.
And one of the things that I think Zemi brought a good point. What happens with the consolidation, whether teams get closed. One thing that I do find on a positive thing, and it's nothing positive when somebody loses their job, but we know that at least Sony and Microsoft have the IPs, and then maybe they can give a crack to a new team. Because look at what happened with Embracer Group. Embracer Group has purchased IPs that have been dead. We don't even know who they own them, and all of a sudden they bought them for like $2. Carmageddon comes to my mind.
True. True.
And look at some of the games that we love. One of the things that we have BioShock is because somebody owned the name System Shock, so EA couldn't use the name BioShock. So it basically is a spiritual successor to System Shock.
Well, I think a great example of what you're kind of talking about is present with Microsoft, right? Of course, Microsoft, they owned Lionhead Studio, and then they closed down Lionhead Studio, but they still had the Fable IP, and so of course now we're still getting a Fable many years after, but it's still possible to see those beloved IPs even after a studio closes come back under a different studio.
Yeah, and I think we hit it on the head as well. Gamers don't like change. Just like me working on the Windows side, a lot of Windows users say, oh, I love XP, but I want innovation. Well, you can't innovate if you are trying to live on old technology. You can't. You can't. So the game industry, we're kind of, we're creatures of habit. We didn't like digital, but now we love digital. And we just have to be able to slowly integrate. I think it's great because we're going to get some great experiences. As long as there's a checks and balances where we're keeping the big three in check when it comes to, hey, this is what we want, we demand as gamers that love this hobby. I think that's where we come in with our wallets, the way we talk about it, and we let them know, hey, this is not what we want from the medium that we enjoy.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a great point. Listen, what I want to do is before we get to CrossfireX, there's a lot of chatter in the chat regarding the Call of Duty thing, and I don't want to make it into a half-hour topic. I want to make it maybe 10 or 15 minutes because it's very simple, and I'll get everyone's on the panel's opinion, and this is why. I know there's been a lot of talk. Oh my God, Call of Duty, it's going to be exclusive. Do I have to buy an Xbox? Here's the thing. Xbox, Microsoft doesn't need to make Call of Duty exclusive. And the reason why is money. And I'm not saying that they're going to lose money. Folks, here's the real deal situation. Microsoft finds themselves in a position of unbelievable power in the industry. They have the Series S that is making them bank. It is the little man that could. Everyone doubted this console. It's it dropped on sale last month for two, I think it was 270 it was. And it was only for the weekend. It sold out instantaneously. This console that has more 120 frame per second games than the PlayStation 5 is going to be $250 when this fall, and when it hits 250, it's going to remain that way. Right now, people are leaving Sony for this console. That's not a suggestion. It's not a fanboy factoid. It is a real reality. We're seeing more and more people post, "Hey, I dropped my PlayStation for little man," because most people, they're not us. We're the diehard community.
Mm-hmm.
We are the minority. The majority are the normies, are the casual gamers. That is what put 116 million consoles for Sony into the wild. 80% of that. So let's bring Call of Duty back into it. Here's the situation. Money is going to be at the center of this conversation, because when Call of Duty gets into Xbox Game Pass for $15 a month, and in that particular month, that's always a big month for Microsoft with their games. Just imagine it's Call of Duty and two of their AAA bombs. How is Sony gonna fight that? This is why Sony is terrified. You tell me right now, as gamers, everyone in the chat, we got almost 400 people here. Tell me, be honest with yourself. Are you going to spend $76.43, which is what it cost for a Sony PlayStation 5 game here in New York? $76.43. Or you're going to spend $15, and in that $15, you have 500 titles. And P.S., by the way, the new Call of Duty. The mathematics are simple. This is when that happens. This is why this deal is so important, because what this does is drive Game Pass sales through the roof. We're talking, once this deal happens, and I am talking in absolutes because it is going to happen, you're going to see Game Pass with Disney Plus numbers. Once they start getting not only the Microsoft first party, but you get something like a Call of Duty in there, that is going to be huge. So let's start with Steel Rain. We'll get your opinion on this. Yeah. Am I correct in saying so?
Again, that's kind of the drum that I've been beating also. I mean, there's no need to make it exclusive when you have a service that you have access to on multiple devices.
Like, everything, even your washing machine.
People forget that for some reason. Like, you can get it on Xbox, PC, phone, tablet, whatever, cloud, whatever, wherever you want access to it. That's the goal that they're trying to get to. So the fact that you have that availability, you don't have to make it exclusive to your platform. You're gonna bring people in as soon as they say they'll go to their buddy's house and be like, "Hey man, well, yeah, this game looks pretty cool. It's the new Call of Duty." It's like, "Yeah, man, I just paid 76 and some odd change for it. Yeah, man, I got it in Game Pass for my subscription." What? Really? That is going to drive numbers. And I know people try to make it seem like, "Oh, you're just saying that because, it's the bubble." I do not live on Twitter. I've been in the internet scene since the 2000s, early 2000. I've been gaming for just that long online also. I started online gaming since PC, and I have a bunch of friends in different areas that have different aspects and who aren't gamers. And they all have said that they would rather pay that $15 subscription service like they do with anything else to get access to hundreds of games versus them paying that one fee up front. And then when you take it from the perspective of the consumer, when little Timmy or Billy or whatever the case might be goes to their parents and is like, "Hey, mom, dad, whether it's one game, two games, even at $140 a year, $15 a month, those parents are going to be like, "And you get how many games?" "Yeah, I'm going to sign you up for that, and I don't have to worry about it anymore." And then when that conversation comes up, when they have particular titles that maybe little Timmy wants to play Elden Ring all of a sudden, you're like, "You know what? I saved on so much money this year. Here you go. It's an early birthday present." Or whatever the case might be. I wish I would have had those opportunities when I was coming up. And that is the bigger picture. Being able to get more eyes on your subscription service, more eyes on your IP, your content overall, than you just having to pay full price for it anymore. And that, yes, it can be a double-edged sword, but with the way that things are going right now, it doesn't do anything but make sense, especially for Xbox and everything that they got going on. Why make it exclusive when we could put it in Game Pass and it's basically the same thing?
Yes, I mean that's a fantastic point. Zemi Games, obviously you literally just talked about this. You've always been, facing forward about exclusivity. You don't like games being taken away from people, and I think that this is one of those instances that there's so much money to be made for Microsoft to, which of course, ROI, right? Return of investment. This is Call of Duty is PlayStation's biggest moneymaker. It sells more than any. It sells more than any three of their over-the-shoulder single-player games. That's how much it sells. It's ridiculous, and it's still being in there. Sure, PlayStation players are going to play it, but there is going to come a conversation that, wait a second, this is $76. I go over there, it's $15, and I got a smorgasbord of games, and they have a console that's $250. It's next gen. I'm jumping in on that. I think we're gonna see a monster turnaround. What are your thoughts on this?
So, real quick, because I'm a little behind still on news, is it confirmed that Call of Duty will be going to PlayStation? Like, continue be
Well, Phil
continue to be
Spencer
multiplayer?
said
desires.
his desire is to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation.
Okay.
That he
All
actually said that in the press release. And one of the big holdups, and I think that we'll talk about this at another time, is the regulatory people are concerned that they're going to lock this behind a paywall, and Microsoft has already said no. We value PlayStation and their place in the industry, and our desire to keep PlayStation Call of Duty on PlayStation is something that's a reality. So he said that already.
Yeah. I just wish that Phil would have said that maybe about a year ago with the whole Bethesda acquisition thing, and then I could have, not been wrong, because that was my general idea. Look, I think that Xbox stands to make more money by leaving Call of Duty on PlayStation. I 100% support that. I hope that they do that, right? And as I've said many years now, I don't want big established franchises to be taken away, right? And that's as true as Sony doing it, as Microsoft doing it, as anyone else doing it. Like, I just don't want to see it. So I 100% would prefer to see Call of Duty on PlayStation and continue to stay on there, because Xbox is going to make a lot of money. Now, I will say this, Boom, I do think you are wrong on your pricing, though. I don't think that Xbox is going to charge $75 on PlayStation. I think that they're going to charge the same amount that they charge on Xbox, and that's
I don't know.
We've seen them do that with like pretty much everything else so far that they've put on PlayStation. Like most recently was the Skyrim Anniversary Edition. I believe I'm almost positive is the same price. If you just went out to actually just go and buy the Anniversary Edition, it's the same price as what you can find on Xbox. So I don't think that we're going to see them price jack on PlayStation. I think it's going to be the same exact price. Of course, I say that the same exact price because you can always get it cheaper on Xbox by subscribing to Xbox Game Pass. But I think one major benefit of Xbox putting their games and allowing some of their games to be multi-plat is the word of mouth marketing. And in my opinion, I truly believe word of mouth is the best type of marketing that you can have. And having just everyday consumers and your best friend or the guy down the road that kind of smells weird, but you somewhat listen to what he says sometimes. I don't know if you're ever going to listen to that guy, but having just everybody come at you and say, hey, why are you paying $60 on PlayStation? Don't you know that you can get that game day and date, $15, $10, a month on Xbox? Having Xbox having Call of Duty remain on PlayStation is going to get people talking, and it's going to drive conversations. And in my opinion, word of mouth is the best type of marketing.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely onto something, but again, regardless of whether it's 65 18 or 76.43, which is $11 more that you're going to pay
Yeah,
for the $10, it's
it
still
doesn't matter.
yeah, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
because there's still a ridiculous value proposition, and I think let me see if I could find it in the chat real quick. I think it was Lord Roughness that says casuals go where the value is. That's a fact. Again, that's not even a suggestion. That's a fact. But before we move, we get to Joanna Dark. I gotta catch up on some of these super chats. There's been quite a few. Risk it for the biscuit. I love that. That's great. He drops not one but two super chats of $3. And the first one he says, "It doesn't matter if Call of Duty is on PlayStation because it'll be in Game Pass. Indeed, it is." And the second super chat says, "Crystal Dynamics is with a capital IS going to be acquired 100%. I think that is a done deal. Just only because of who lets a whole AAA studio just go and work with another publisher. It's never been done in the history. So again, take it for what it's worth. Drawn TJ, generous friend of the show, he drops not one but two super chats, and the first one is a big bomb at $20. He says, "Morning guys, do you see Spartacus on Xbox and Game Pass on PlayStation? Also, do you think them buying all of these developers and publishers to keep outside competition to make a dent into the console space?" No, for the first one. I think that Sony's going to do their own thing. I think Microsoft is going to do their own thing. You won't see it there, because what happens is the same way you won't see Xbox on Nintendo, because what that does is it eats from Microsoft will be eating from their plate. And that's not going to happen. Everyone's going to have their own service, and everyone's going to be happy. And whether Spartacus sucks or not, well, that's up to Sony whether it's day and date. If it doesn't have day and date, it sucks. I'm gonna tell you that right now, because that rumor, that leak 3-tier system, if the third tier does not change and say day and date, it's garbage. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's literally what you have now with PlayStation Now, and that sucks. His second super chat of $5 says, "Honestly, I think Sony and Xbox are working together to save the gaming industry." I mean, there could be some truth for that for sure. But we again, someone will write a book and eventually we will read about it. Don Otaku drops a $5 super chat and says, "As Dusk Falls from the Xbox Game Showcase in 2020 just got its ESRB rating, potentially pointing to a release coming soon." Yeah, I'm very interested for that. And Pragmatic Eagle, generous friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, good afternoon, Zemi, Steel Rain, Mr. Joanna Dark, and Boom in chat. Make sure you'll hit the like button, folks. Hashtag fun, hashtag Gamers United." Indeed, I love that. But Mr. Joanna Dark, what are your thoughts on Call of Duty staying on PlayStation and potentially not being a big deal, because Microsoft is going to attract the casual community with Xbox Game Pass and Little Man?
I don't have any issues. I think the problem is we have a small percentage of people that can't let go of the box.
Yep.
When I sit down and when I sit down to play on my PC, when I sit down to play on my Xbox, my PlayStation, wherever I'm at, I'm not worried about whether Joe Schmo from the street has 55 frames per second, 80. I'm playing my games where I want to play with my friends are.
Yep.
And I believe that we want to get to a place, the one thing I love about Xbox Game Pass, right, is I can say, "Hey, what's that game?" And I was telling my brother-in-law, because my brother-in-law doesn't play a lot of games. And I said, "Hey, let's play Rainbow Six Extraction." He was like, "Okay, how much is it?" I said, "Don't worry. Remember, you got Game Pass. Now we can sit down and we can play." And just to be able to say, "Hey, you got Game Pass, let's go ahead and jump in." It's a great thing to be able to get people into games that I want to play, because the upfront cost is not a lot, right? And the same thing when I look at it with PS Plus, right? I was able to play with friends the Predator game, Hunting Grounds, because it was on the service. I couldn't convince anybody else to purchase it, unfortunately, but because they had PlayStation and it was on the service, I told my cousin, "Hey, let's jump on this. I need somebody to jump in." And what I got, I got to listen to Phil Spencer, and this is just overall where I think it's going, in my opinion, is that PlayStation and Xbox want to move at one point beyond the box, where everyone can play. There's markets out there that we don't understand that are mobile first markets. There are markets out there that consume content differently. And as we're building these games, we're going to build them to be scalable to any device. Think about when we watch Netflix. I don't say, oh man, my NVIDIA Shield does 4K better than your Apple TV. Nah, I say, hey, I go downstairs, hey, that movie that I just dropped on Netflix, Squid Game or that show, go watch it. Like, where is it? On Netflix. Right, cool. That's where we want to move. And I think the industry is slowly moving, where you can access the content where you want. Will there be hardware? I'm pretty sure there'll still be hardware because there's people that want it. But as our infrastructure and technology gets better, things can always change. So, we don't know. And I think having a cash cow like Call of Duty and bringing more people into that community helps. Remember, a lot of these multiplayer games die. Why? Because one community abandons it for something new. So when you have a game like COD or any multiplayer game have an extended community, they keep them alive. Look at Dead by Daylight. The reason that game people still play it because it has crossplay, because there's a passionate community playing it on all platforms, even on Switch, like myself, and playing. And I just feel that at the end of the day, that's how you bring players over. And it's going to be more about the experience. And we just have to be able to some of us, get away from the fact that, oh, it's a box. It's gaming. You should be able to go, Steel Ring made 100%. A good thing. You know what? I'm a poor kid from Brooklyn. And I wish that I can spend that money to have the games. I've been fortunate that I went to my friend's house, and I'm fortunate now that I'm financially good to be able to play. But I always tell the story that I've told this before, and I said this on Boom. I am able to play with some of my family members that can't afford a console in third world countries. But you know what's cool about it? I bought them Game Pass, and now I can jump in and play. And they're like, oh, wow. And it's great. Why? Because a lot of these games feel engagement. So the more people playing, the more people subscribing, guess what? We're going to get the sequels to the games that we want. So this whole concept, we got to move. We got to move away from that concept. You know what? Gaming is gaming. Forget about the logos. These companies are going to make money. Marketing is great. They all have great marketing, but it's all about just play the games. And that's what Jim Ryan's seeing. That's what Phil Spencer is seeing. A place where you just say, hey, what game is that? Oh, yeah, it's on Spartacus. Let's jump on that. Or whatever Nintendo makes, And that's what is going to happen. And again, is it going to be in the next 2-3 years? No, but we're laying the tracks.
Yes,
because eventually
indeed.
Every industry changes and nothing's the same. Look at PCs. Microsoft is trying to make PCs now that give you Windows to scale. So you're building games that are going to scale to the cloud so you can play it on the mobile. You can play it on any single device. And I can tell you for one, I own all these devices because I like playing my games on my iPhone, on my iPad, on my Samsung Fold. I just enjoy games, and I love the fact that we're getting to that future that I've always wanted as a teenager, in my early 20s and my early 30s, and now it's coming, and it's just great, just overall.
Absolutely, and again, I'm glad what everyone had to say, and I think everyone really drove the point home. Again, exclusivity for certain things, yes. I think Spyro exclusive. I think Crash Bandicoot exclusive. There's going to be quite a few things, but something like Call of Duty, they don't necessarily need it to be exclusive. And I think that Microsoft potentially could be leaving money on the table. But
now, Boom.
Yes, sir.
Question: with this whole Call of Duty and Destiny, do you see that as both coming to the table and saying, well, hey, this cross-play tax needs to go so we can probably have games? Because my thing is, will Microsoft have to pay Sony a tax?
I think that this is what the desire to leave it on Call of Duty on PlayStation. There's going to be certain things that are going to have to be gone. Otherwise, Sony's going to lose out. That's this cross-play tax. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. That's Sony just being kind of Sony. That's their thing. And if they want this deal to go through and they really want Call of Duty on their console, then they're going to be like, yeah, you know what? We're sorry. We'll take away the tax and just be cross-play like everybody else. They're all normal companies.
Or we can have a thing where Destiny uses PSN as a sign-in, and vice versa. Call of Duty uses an Xbox. And again, these are all deals that I was thinking of. I was thinking before this whole Destiny deal, the deal breaker of the desire, right? Where Microsoft says, well, hey, you need Xbox Live sign-in, to do this. Remember, that was a deal breaker with Jim Ryan because of the children. So my thing is, again, we don't know these things, but I'm pretty sure they're hashing those things out as we see this thing kind of in real time going.
Well, I mean, again, here's what I said in the beginning. Right now, Microsoft holds all the cards. They're the dealer. Right now, the Jim Ryan and Sony have walked up to the table. The casino is Microsoft. The player is Sony. And if they want to play, well, you're gonna have to pay. And I think there's gonna be a lot of concessions made. I don't maybe the 70-30 thing, maybe that gets lessened.
See.
You know what I'm saying? But again, only time is gonna tell. I do want to move on to, of course, the CrossfireX topic, which a lot of people have been asking for. If you didn't know, Remedy Studios, makers of Alan Wake and so many other incredible story-driven titles, like Quantum Break, which is one of my favorite, last generation games,
Max Payne.
is making their a first-person shooter in the lines of what you would find in Call of Duty and in Battlefield when there were story modes in there, and that is releasing in 9 days. We got a tweet yesterday where they confirmed that, hey, keep an eye out for more information regarding the launch of this game. Right now, it's up for preload on Xbox. It is an Xbox exclusive, and it's, of course, on PC. There are 3 packages. One is $10, one is $15, and the full game is $30, and it's on sale for $24 and change, which I have mine pre-ordered. Because obviously, listen, I love Remedy. I know a lot of people don't like them. I love Remedy, and I love the idea that they're gonna produce something that they've never done before. I'm very interested to get a Call of Duty level single player narrative game from them, because we know that they know how to tell stories. But I want to get the panel's opinion whether or not you're going to jump on board. We did get some pretty good information that one part of this game is going to be dropping into Xbox Game Pass day and date, which is interesting because they originally had said multiplayer free, story campaign you got to pay. And I don't know what changed, but one part of the campaign is in fact going to be available in Xbox Game Pass. For me, I don't care because I'm buying it anyway. I already have it pre-ordered. Steele, let's get your opinion. Are you interested in this game, CrossfireX, that went dead silent, was supposed to release last year? Obviously, they had some development issues with the virus like everyone else in the industry. Is this a day one for you, man?
Is it a day one? I don't know. Not necessarily. I'm not necessarily hype about Crossfire. Again, with it coming from Remedy, the closest thing that I have in relation to Remedy is going to be when they go back to working on Max Payne, the first and second game back in the day. So other than that, I really haven't touched any other games since. So Control, I have jumped into Alan Wake, so excuse me on that one, and then Quantum Break, which I've always heard good things about. They're just not games that necessarily that I would just kind of just roll into. For me personally, I'm extremely bougie when it comes to the games that I play, especially the time that I spend into them. Because again, nowadays, especially, I mean, even at 29 years old, like I have family, I got work, I got other side hobbies that I have. So it's like I have to balance it. There's always this fine line. And then when you have so many other games that are out there to play, Crossfire just wasn't in my wheelhouse of getting to look at, especially now that Halo's out. If I want my first person fix, that's where I'm going to go, or I'm having a good time with Rainbow Six Extraction. So there's other ones that I would probably, kind of sway to versus Crossfire. But the interesting thing to me, and it's the same thing that happened with Rainbow Six Extraction, because I was the same person that said I had zero interest in Rainbow Six Extraction. Zero. When I tell you, when I saw that game, I was like, oh, Rainbow Six Siege with a skin on it, aliens, whatever. I'm not really a horde mode player. It was great in Gears. That's the only time that it's really kind of satisfactory. And even then, it kind of pushes the boundary for me. I tried it through Game Pass because there was no upfront fee, and I can't get enough of the game now.
Really?
So, yeah, I love Extraction. For any, I get why people don't like it, but for me, it does something different to the point to where it keeps me wanting to come back, especially as a co-op experience. I think it does. It blows Back for Blood out of the water. For me personally, Back for Blood, if you want that Left 4 Dead feel where you get that pressure and everything else, it hit all those same notes. Nice. So I'm not going to say no to Crossfire completely because it is available to me, at least on the campaign side of it, for me to try out and then make my own personal decision. Now, whether I get to it or not, something completely different.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to Extraction because I'm inundated with so many games, dude. Exactly. Like I'm playing Record of Lodos War.
Oh wow,
dude, that game is bonkers
awesome.
Good, bro. Yeah. If you love Castlevania Symphony of the Night, this is a must download game. It's in Game Pass. Jeff Grubb, good friend of the program, good friend of the community, he was talking about it on his podcast. I was like, really? The minute I got done with the show, I went and downloaded. I was like, holy shit, this is great. So, right. Again, that's the beauty of Xbox Game Pass, because if you again, even if you don't have the time now, there's no upfront fee. There's no like, wow, man, if I spend the money and this game sucks, I'm shit out of luck, right?
That has always been my problem, and why I've always had a hard time convincing myself, especially over the years, when it comes to single player games, because I'm a multiplayer first gamer. I'm always going to go for PvP before I go for anything else, because that's what I spend those hundreds to thousands of however many hours into.
I mean, literally the mirror opposite of you.
Exactly, which I completely understand. But that's what makes this so great, because I have now, especially since I've gotten old and everything, have been able to be like, all right, well, now that I'm not sitting in parties all day and wanting to say, hey guys, what game are we jumping into? It's more so now I'm taking my time. I'm playing through games that I might have skipped over. Mass Effect's another perfect example of that. I didn't play that in Game Pass. I played that when it came out, the Legendary Edition. That was my first time playing it, and man, I'm glad that I waited to play it, because I was able to play all three, because once I played that first one, I was addicted. But that's also another one that's currently in Game Pass, to where I tell people all the time, yo, if you haven't played Mass Effect up to this point, try it out, because that's the greatest series that I've ever played in the history of man to this day, in my personal opinion.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love it. Mass Effect 2 is the greatest. But
yep, that's the GOAT. There you go. That's the GOAT.
But either way, just bring it back to Crossfire. It just makes it hard for me to kind of downplay games as they come into Game Pass now, because I don't know how it's going to end up pulling me. Because again, like you touched on, Boom, you have that initial, I didn't have to pay anything extra for it. It's available to download. I'll try it out. If I get an hour in, I know immediately whether it's a game for me or not. And that's the main thing. And from all the videos that I've been seeing, hey, look, I used to like Call of Duty in the past. Campaigns have never been my main shooting point since after Modern Warfare 2. But this doesn't mean that I can't get in here and have a good time, especially with you got somebody like Remedy behind the scenes who's known for making good stories and making them enticing. So I'm interested to see what they do with it. I just don't know how soon I'm going to get to it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Zemi Games, let's get your opinion on this. Is CrossfireX on your radar? And more so, again, it's not the whole campaign. Apparently, it's just a part.
First part.
The first part in Xbox Game Pass, I suppose, to entice you, because the marketing has not been good. The marketing has been just awful. I don't understand. I mean, you've heard nothing about it. Outside of a couple of tweets, they've put no effort to, hey, let people know this game is coming out. I'm quite shocked. It is an Xbox exclusive, Xbox and PC exclusive, so I'm a little shocked. But wow, I mean, again, I'm all in on Remedy anything, right? I don't care whether it's third person, first person. If Remedy's making a new game, I'm buying it, because I love Remedy. I know that.
What about dating sim, Boom?
What's that?
Dating sim.
Dating sim might make me just question who's running the show over there, because I'd be very concerned if they did release that.
That's hilarious.
I might try it. I don't know if it's a Game Pass. I'm trying it for sure. But Zemi, is it on your radar, bro?
It is. But real quick, Steel, if you
Yeah.
have not played like the recent Modern Warfare from Call of Duty, like
Oh,
that
that
campaign,
was I got every
yeah,
achievement.
go
that's-
back and play it. 'cause
That's
it's really
the
good.
same. It's the same story from the original, isn't it?
It
No,
just updated?
no,
Yeah,
no, 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 no,
they
no,
changed
added
some
a
things.
lot. They changed a lot in
Okay.
that. It's
yeah.
not a carbon. Hey, let's make a remake, and it's they changed so much that I think. Look, I love that game so much. I think I got
Wow.
every achievement in the game except for one. One
Nice.
achievement I'm missing.
It is really good.
It's
Yeah.
another one of those where I'm just like, nah, I'm
It'll
so
come to
over Call
Game
of Duty at
Pass, so
this
don't
point.
worry,
Yeah.
brother. You can play it then.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah,
go.
play it then. But anyway, back on topic. I'm sorry, Modern Warfare was just so good
No,
though.
you're good.
Back on topic though. Yes, I am actually really interested in playing the single player. I love first person shooter military like story mode campaigns. Like I absolutely love them. So I'm 110% in it. I'm really not interested in Crossfire's multiplayer. Like I played their multiplayer and I thought it just screamed Call of Duty budget, like a budget Call of Duty to me. Like it really did not impress me at all. But the campaign, I am 100% willing to give it a try. I'm probably going to play the first part in Game Pass, and if I really like it, then I'm going to buy the rest of it.
Okay.
Just because I was not impressed with the multiplayer. With that being said, the multiplayer was made by a different studio. Remedy's making the single
Smilegate
player.
is the one that did it. Yeah.
So that that give me more faith, but I am very excited for it. I've been waiting for it for a long time now. I wish it would have came out last year, but it got delayed, and that's probably for the best. But yeah, no, for sure, really excited for it. Can't wait to jump in.
And Joanna Dark, let's get your opinion on this, brother. I mean, obviously, you work with Microsoft, so I don't know if you had a chance to maybe get a chance to play it early or not. This is a game that I think that even though it doesn't have a tremendous budget, it doesn't have the biggest, marketing campaign in the world. So obviously, it's been like mom and pop style. Like, hey, just throw a banner up there and tape this to the pole, and maybe somebody will see it. But I think that it's Remedy, man. They gotta deliver on this, and I love the fact that it's something that we've never seen from them. That's what's interesting to me. Where do you fall on CrossfireX?
I'm excited for CrossfireX, and because, like you said it, Boom, I love Remedy. I had the opportunity to sit down with Sam Lake.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
And talk, talk and get a few little tidbits here and there that I'm going to keep, in my grave. But it just made me appreciate a lot of the games that I love from Remedy. It is something new. It does remind me of Crysis when I look at some of the trailers. A little
bit.
X going to give it to you, but I think both chapters should be in the game. And again, that's just me. But I think if I like the first chapter, I definitely want to show my appreciation to Remedy and say, hey, let me go ahead and jump into that second. I love military shooters. I just played Bright Memory Infinite over the holiday, the final version on PC.
So freaking good. I cannot wait for the full release, man.
And the way it ends,
yes,
I was just like, oh my god. I said, the full game's out on the PC side.
On PC, yeah, not on Xbox yet.
And I'm thinking, if this one person had the budget at least that Remedy got, this Bright Memory Infinite is basically Devil May Cry as a first-person shooter. It's
pretty much,
fantastic.
Yes, it's really good.
So CrossfireX, yeah, I've seen some publications say that they didn't enjoy it, but hey, to each their own when it comes to their taste. It's coming to Game Pass. I'm a fan of Remedy. I'm gonna make that choice, and if I like it, I like it. Hey, I always say, right? I like the Order of 1886.
Freaking awesome game, dude.
And I love the lore. And everybody tells me, why do you like that game? Guess what? Because I play games that I like. I play so many niche games.
Exactly.
Yes.
Preach.
Danganronpa on Game Pass is one of the best games out there that just came to the service.
I think it was last week or something like that. Yeah.
So I hope it's good. And I'm excited because I felt that in a packed month with Dying Light on Friday, which is another one. Then you have Sifu. Then you have Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West.
I'm interested.
There's no way they come in and said, "Hey, we're just gonna think we're gonna."
And Elden Ring too, by the way.
Yeah,
which is
and
ridiculous.
I'm just like I'm happy that Game of the Year 2022 Evil Dead moved to May. But yeah, I'm like overall, I'm excited for CrossfireX, and I'm just talk. I can't wait to talk with you guys to see what your thoughts on it once we play it.
Yeah, me too. And I know Zemi Games can't wait to play Evil Dead, his game of the year 2022.
Zemi,
right?
that's the 2022 game of the year.
See, you guys are talking like about Remedy, like, man, like everything Remedy makes is great. Oh, I love them. And I'm sitting over here like everything that Remedy makes that's not scary is fantastic.
So here's the thing with Remedy. I love Alan Wake. Quantum Break was a game that felt like it was the start of a franchise that
And
was
yeah,
never
it's a
finished.
shame that we won't get a sequel.
And
Yeah.
not to really give away everything, but it did feel like it was sort of, hey, there's more to this.
Oh, 100%.
Control, what I loved about it is that it felt like Sam Lake was J.J. Abrams giving me this really weird story about this facility and what's happening with the board. And I personally like Control. And now that Alan Wake is coming, again, to me, Remedy has made some really good games. And they're niche games that that are kind of like cult classics, the way I put it. But I think they're great. I think sometimes they try to do so much that they may fall flat on certain things.
Yeah, you know what? I'm hoping that Alan Wake 2, which I can't believe is actually happening. I'm so excited for that. We're finally going to get a sequel. It's one of the games I got to get back to. I bought the HD remaster, and I'm almost at the end. And obviously, just too many games.
I hope Max Payne 4 happens. If Alan Wake can come back, we need Max Payne.
100%, absolutely. And why can't I buy Max Payne 3 on the Xbox store? Because I can't find the disc. This is that's the one game I wanted, and I think I have the disc, but it's in storage, and I'm not trying. I may actually have to go buy that online to get the physical disc, because Max Payne 3 is one of the backwards compatibility games that I wanted, and they delivered. And I will play that like it's new.
If you have a PC, just get it on the PC.
My PC is I have a nice PC, but it's not a rig, and I think it would probably run like crap, but it's fine. It's fine.
You got that Steam Deck coming. Play it on the Steam Deck.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I do got the Steam Deck coming as hopefully at the end of February. I got the big boy for that. But listen, I want to get into the last topic of the show, folks. And this one is not only an oldie, but it's a goodie, because we're going to be talking Major League Baseball, the show, MLB, the show 2022, confirmed for Xbox Game Pass. Now, I'm going to be up front. I don't play that game. I don't play the game.
MLB, the show.
I don't play. I bought them over the years. I've played them. I think they're incredible. The graphics are just incredible. Last year when it downloaded, I downloaded the game. I played a game or two, and I'm like, listen, I just wanted to play it. Say I played it. That's just not for me. I like sports games, but not like I used to. Mm-hmm. But that's not the crux of the conversation. The crux of the conversation is the fact that Xbox players who subscribe to the service known as Xbox Game Pass are going to be able to download this game for the price of their subscription. Now, whether that's $10 or $15, if you are a lucky gamer, and I say lucky because obviously we don't know, trying to find a Series X or an S is still very difficult, right? If you are a gamer who has one of these consoles, you are going to get the next gen version for free. Download. That's it. Download and you're good. Sony players, well, that's I kind of feel bad for Sony players who only have a Sony console, because you're paying $70, $76.43 here in New York for the PlayStation 5 version. And I think that this is just another example of why Game Pass is incredible, but why the Call of Duty conversation we had a little while ago is going to be irrelevant. It's just people are going to come to where the value is, and the value is Xbox Game Pass. This is a big announcement, and obviously it's. I mean, you have to look at these like Steel, like you say, take it back from an RTS point of view. Look back and look at the overall picture here. This is a PlayStation exclusive on an Xbox console, right? But that in itself is a conundrum. But I think where the sand or the salt in the eyes here is that Xbox players get the upgrade version for free. PlayStation players $76.43. It is a slap in the face, a kick to the balls, whatever you want to call it. Steal, take it away, brother. How big of a deal is this for Xbox players?
For it to continue this deal to continue to happen, I think it's a major thing for those who are interested. Again, just like Boom, I have no interest in it. I've kind of checked out the whole sport game thing, especially with this whole microtransaction fad that's been going on over the years, where none of your progression carries over. It just makes it feel like it's pointless to continuously reiterate, and invest more and more money into it. I know people like to complain about your other microtransaction games, Fortnite, Apex, Warframe, Destiny, but these sports games do it the worst, and I can't get behind that. But overall, the fact that this deal continues to happen tells me that MLB got exactly what they wanted, and that's more eyes on their product to continue to iterate on their game. It just tells you we're entering again the age of accessibility, and the more and more people that you can get eyes on up front, the better it is overall. It shouldn't take you 3 to 5 years to get all the sales that you need to see that you're going to sell maybe 10 million copies, maybe 5 million copies, where you can get that within the first month. So you can really gauge interest, really support the game properly. I feel like personally with that, because you're getting everybody's different sides and opinions up front within that time span. But also, we see it going to the Switch also. So it just shows me that MLB wanted to keep everything open. The fact that we as the Xbox consumer, for those who are invested in the Game Pass, are continuing to get more benefits, more of a reward, I guess I should say at this point, because at least that's how it feels with the games that kind of come in and out, that if I ever wanted to jump in, it's right there day one. I don't have to think about it. If I wanted to try it out, if I had a homie who was like, hey man, let's run a game or two, I like kind of what Joanna Dark was speaking to earlier. It's nothing but a download away, and then boom, here we go. We're playing online across the world, whatever the case may be, eliminating barriers. And that's the main thing that I think is going to be, that's the biggest benefit to us as the gamer, in the whole point of why Xbox Game Pass exists. So it's an exciting thing, man. And it only shows you credence to the kind of avenue that we're going down to. What's wrong with giving people more of an incentive or more accessibility? So.
Yeah, and again, obviously, we're still in a pandemic era. The households, everything has gone up. Groceries have gone up, gas has gone up, everything that makes life for you, normalty. And gaming has gone up too. Gaming is an expensive hobby. Is it? So. When you see something like Xbox Game Pass offering the ridiculous amount of value,
right?
It's hard to deny wanting to get an Xbox. It's hard to deny wanting to be a part of that ecosystem. And I've said this before. I don't think PlayStation players who own a PlayStation 4 or 5 are throwing their consoles into the backyard and beating them with bats. That's not going to happen. No one's saying that, because everyone's talking about, well, they have a digital library, boom, so they're not getting rid of it. Well, no one's asking them to get rid of it. But you have an opportunity to say, hey, listen, I got this digital library and I'm holding on to that. But there's this other company over here that's offering a ridiculous amount of value, and for $15 a month, like I can get over 500 games right now. Oh, and they have a next gen console that is very powerful in its own rights, right? Mm-hmm. I said this in the beginning of the show. The Series S has more 120 frame per second games than the PlayStation 5. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, because that's saying something. But Zemi, I want to bring you back into the conversation. Listen, I don't know if you're a major MLB The Show player, but this is a big deal. Again, it was done last year. We don't know how the money, obviously, I think last year it was done because it was the first time coming to an Xbox platform. So they wanted to make a big old splash in the conversation of, hey, get MLB The Show. Turns out that MLB The Show sold better on the Xbox, which is not surprising because many gamers have been starving for a baseball game. But seeing it return to the service, equally impressive. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, like you and like Steel Rain, I'm really not a huge MLB fan. I mean, I play some sports games, but I mean, like a little bit of FIFA, a little bit of NHL. That's pretty much, but well, then also like PGA, like golf. I like golf a lot. But I'm not really into baseball. And so like whenever that game came out, I think I downloaded it, but I don't even think I played it. I think I just downloaded it and then just deleted it like a few days later. Because I'm just not interested in it. But quite clearly, there's many people on Xbox that are. And I mean, that's great, right? It's great for the MLB. They're making more money. It's great for Sony. They're making more money. And it's great for Xbox because, they're now making some more money as well. And the players that actually care about MLB now have the access to play it. Like, if there's any game that should not be exclusive, it's a sports game. Like, because
100%, I agree.
I mean, like, it doesn't matter if you're an Xbox player or if you're a PlayStation player or you like Nintendo or whatever. I don't even think MLB The Show is on Nintendo. I could be mistaken. But it doesn't matter where you play your games. Like, that has no relevance on whether or not you are a fan of like Major League Baseball. And just the fact that, players get punished for buying, the wrong console and now they can't play a game for a franchise that they absolutely adore, like, MLB is utterly ridiculous. So, I mean, it shouldn't have taken this long for MLB to pull away the exclusivity from Sony, but it's great that everyone seems to be benefiting and they're continuing to doing it. And it's coming to Game Pass day and date, correct?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
day and date,
which
literally,
is great.
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, and I think that in this situation, everyone wins. Like, the players win, PlayStation wins, Xbox, MLB, everyone wins. If anything, you could make the argument that Sony is kind of taking a small L here, in the sense that now that's just another game that players are able to look to PlayStation and then look to Xbox and say, what's going on, right? Like $70 over here, $10 over there with a service kind of thing.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if anything, if it hurts anyone, it's PlayStation and that's slightly, but they're still making really good money off of it. So
yeah, and Steel Rain just dropped something into the DM over here into the chat. MLB The Show arrives on the Nintendo Switch as well. Very interesting.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Very.
First, that's going to be.
I used to play it on my Vita.
So, I mean, yeah, but yeah, it's going to be interesting.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough sell, but at least, hey, anyone that wants to play it will have the ability to play it in 5 frames per second. But
that'll be me. I'll be able to hit that. I'll be able to hit that ball.
I love it. That's really great, Mr. Joanna Dark. Let's get your final opinion on this, and we'll close up shop. But listen, folks. Great show. If we have almost 350 people here, we had over 400 here. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. We just crossed 10K last Sunday. I did it live on the air during the Iron Lord 6.5-hour podcast. Obviously, those are my brothers over there, and it's just things kind of go around. I helped them get to 1,000. They helped me get to 10,000, and this is the year of the little podcaster. I think you're going to see so many big successes happen. We just saw Asa and Gaz from Game On Daily. They just crossed 10,000 subscribers. They have joined the ranks of myself, the Iron Lords, BitCloud Gaming, Xbox Era, and the Bitcast. Ainsley. He is, I got to get him on the show. We got to get him to 10K. He's like 9 and change. And the Hogue Law, if you didn't know, is joining that podcast, which goes live on Sundays. That's a big time guest. He actually said that during his video that I watched. So he's going to be joining Ainsley and those guys over there, which they have a great crew. And they're closing in on 10K. I'd love to see them hit it this year as well. But Mr. Joanna Dark, what are your thoughts on MLB The Show hitting Xbox Game Pass?
I'm so happy. I've never seen a title that feels more like an Xbox exclusive, but yet it's made by a Sony company.
Isn't
like
that crazy?
MLB 21. I'm a big fan of the show. Like I said, right now, I played it before on the PlayStation, and when I had my Vita at the time, I used to play it on the Vita when they used to bring it over because it was a way of me taking the game. One of the things that I liked about MLB the show is that it respected what Steel Rain said. Right, when I play sports games, I can't bring my progress. I got to start my season over. Everything I did as a GM. One of the things that they did with 2020 was you can bring over your saves, and I hope you can do the same thing with people that are playing 21. Can just bring over their progress so you can continue the dynasty. I think it's great. I think sports games need to be on a service, whether it's Spartacus, whether it's Game Pass, because many people have been saying that sports games need to become a platform. Number one, it puts a lot of strain on the teams to innovate versus kind of making iterations, kind of like an MMO. And I'm just happy that I can go in and again, baseball is popular, but not as popular to many. And I think it's a great game to get more eyes. And you can see when it first came out, even though it was on Game Pass, it sold well on Game Pass on Xbox, but it also hit the MPD charts in April as well on PlayStation because it is one of those games that makes money. And I just think that overall is going to continue to open and bring more people. I love the fact that I can take my backbone and continue to play MLB, in the bed at night, continue to, bring the Yankees to an actual championship. And I think, I'm pretty sure the deal might be on the table as well because MLB seems to have all the cards because of the licensing. But that's up to Jim Ryan to make those decisions on whether or not he can bring it to, it would be good if he can, bring it to something like, PS Now, is that they bring, just like they did with GTA, they brought GTA. So, I mean, who knows? But I think at this point, we would have known if something like that would happen because, Xbox announced it. Exciting. More people get to play it. One of the things that I used to play was triple play baseball with my uncle. So,
my God, I remember that triple play. But wow, that's talk about a blast of the past.
My uncle, he's 60, but he plays on his iPad, and now we can continue to play now MLB, which is nice. So just exciting overall. And then on a side note, if you saw Ghostwire Tokyo will have I guess on Friday, a showing
preview, right?
Yeah, preview. And it's rumored, this was by Idle Sloth on Twitter, to come out on the 23rd or 24th of this year, March. So,
whoa, okay,
wow,
yeah. Well, I mean, that's going to be on PlayStation 5 first. They have the console, the year console exclusivity, which is fine. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. What I'm probably not going to do is I went out and bought Bethesda's other game that was exclusive, Deathloop. Yeah, because I couldn't wait on that. And I'll see what if Ghostwire Tokyo is something I want to jump into because I haven't turned on my PlayStation 5. I'm going to because I'm going to play Sifu and of course Horizon. I haven't turned the last time I'm so embarrassed.
Make sure you update it.
Yeah, the last time I turned on my my PlayStation 5 is because I was dusting and I was like, oh shit, I turned it on.
Oh man, boom!
And that's what happened. And no, I mean, again,
starting the console war.
No, that's what happened.
Boom! I just turned my PS5 on to play Neo because I got it as a gift on PS5.
Okay. Nice.
And I said, you know what? Let me jump in.
Neo is so good.
Neo and Fist, which is another good one.
Excellent. Yeah, you know what? I didn't pick that up. I forgot that was even coming out. Fist looks fantastic. I definitely gotta get that. But listen, folks. It's 1:42. We went through 4 topics already, which is incredibly great. And again, smaller panel, we were able to get through all the topics. I don't want to drag out the show just to say, hey, we gave you a 2-hour show. So I want to get to the outro. I want to get to the outros and get everyone out of here. Again, we had almost 400 people here, but before we go, Mr. Joanna Dark, I want to go to you first. Because Sour Blow Gaming, who's a part of the Xbox International podcast, just informed me in the chat that they are a few subs away from 200. And I want you to do me a favor. I want you to give us your outro. I want you to talk about that show. And I also want you to drop the link in there. Listen, folks, there's 330 people still here. Xbox International not only has Joanna Dark, not only Sour Blow Gaming, but the crazy one himself, who was going to be a guest but couldn't get out of work, and Crazy Lou Gaming. And it's a great conversation. They're a small growing channel. I love what they do, and if you trust my judgment, and I think that you do because you're here every week, get over there and sub these guys. Do me a favor. But take it away, Joanna.
Yeah. Besides finding me here on the Xbox Factor podcast, I'm also Wednesdays on Xbox International with Sour Blow Gaming, Crazy Lou Gaming, who takes 5 showers a day, and Silent Cipher. Even though our name says Xbox International and we focus on Xbox, we talk all platforms. And like I say in every episode, I welcome everyone who just wants to come in, talk games, and just kind of have a nice dialogue. We like to interact with the community since it's small right now. We want to continue that. So definitely come over, give us a watch, let us know, leave us some feedback, and we hope to reach that 200. It's a big milestone for us.
It is absolutely
This is our 4th episode. And one of the things we've been doing with our episodes is that we want to kind of do it like a TV show where we kind of give it themes. So I like throwing out these little trailers that have themes. Like last week was Brian the Banished, Silent Cipher. So I kind of made a Duke Nukem, because if you haven't heard Silent Cipher, he sounds like Duke Nukem.
Yeah, he does.
This week we talk about Sour Blow's terrible driving. So if you see him on the road, please don't even cross the street, because he's a terrible driver.
Who drives terrible?
Sour Blow.
Okay.
He's the worst driver. Even if the game has assist, he crashes it. He's probably hearing me. And then of course on Thursdays, along with my good friend and colleague Albert Dankwa, and of course Jasmine, we are on the Nickel Gaming Show. We talk about Xbox as 3 employees of Microsoft, and just kind of talk about why we love what we're playing. Just overall kind of a laid back kind of podcast where we just want to just a bunch of friends coming together, just talking about whatever comes to mind, and kind of just saying, hey, what are we playing and what do we recommend? And then if you want to find me on Twitter, big_N_boss on Twitter. And if not, you can always find me on every show, whether it's Steel Rain, whether it's Primetime Gaming. I'm always in the chat there, just checking out, interacting with the community, and always trying to see what new creators are. And I think another thing, Boom, that we forgot, I know you were mentioning a lot of podcasts. Boxing Burger is also close to 5K, and I will be his guest.
Cow.
I will be hanging out with him on Boxing Burger and Friends this Thursday as well.
And so will I, as a matter of fact. So I'll see you there. How you like them apples?
How you like that surprise?
Boom, 10K, boom.
There you go, brother. I'll be hanging out with him, and yeah, that would be great to see him hit the 5K. Like I said, I think that the circle that we run in, everyone is incredible, and brings such unique, fun conversation to an industry that we saw a couple of years ago get turned on its head by using hate-driven content to garner success. And I effing hated seeing that happen. I really, really did it. There were some aspects where I almost felt like leaving the business, because YouTube frowns upon that on paper, but in succession, that's not so much the case. They do promote and push forward hate-driven content because it makes numbers and it makes money, and it's disgusting.
Boom.
Brother.
One last thing. I want to say, Steel Rain, it was a pleasure. I said, I see it on the weekends, and I think you and Pong are a great pair. But I definitely love your thoughts, your opinions, your perspectives, and of course, Zemi, I'm trying to live up to the legend that you are. But it's always great. But it's always great to see you and kind of hang out with you in the panel. Love, as always, your thoughts, perspectives, and everything. So overall, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and Steel Rain, let's get you. First of all, you guys are closing in on hopefully this year 1K. Listen, folks, again, still 270 people here. That's enough to move the needle on subscribing to Living Split Screen. What they do every week is deliver hours upon hours of live, raw, and uncut content, and it's two guys, two up and coming, unbelievable personalities that get the hashtag BoomStick approved seal, and that is Steel Rain and that's Pong Soul. Pong obviously is on here every week. Steel gets on here when he can. Please, for the love of Joe, get over there, subscribe to their channel. Let's get them to the 1K, because it's not me pushing because they're here. I'm pushing because they deserve it. And the content and the conversation that comes out, I listen to it every Saturday morning when I'm cooking breakfast. Mrs. Boom and I come back from the walks, where we take the showers. I'm making breakfast and I'm listening, and it's a great conversation. And when I can't finish listening, the next morning or the following day, I'm out there listening when I'm doing the chores to make sure that at least when I'm cleaning the house, it's not boring as hell. But Steel Rain, sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone where they can check out Living Split Screen on Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And more importantly, where can people find you on social media?
100%, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. First of all, I always got to reciprocate that love right back to you, Boom. Again, you're definitely a pillar within our community, and everything that we stand for as far as like the future goes, and what I feel like we should be building towards. It's part of the reason why me and my brother from another Pong Soul started up Living Split Screen, which is a non-console eccentric platform where we cover everything that's going on with the gaming industry. And like I said earlier in the show, we try to take that RTS view, pull ourselves out of the world, look at the darker crevices of the areas, and really see what the overall goal is and what is possible. Other than that, you can find me everywhere. Steel Rain, the T is a 7. If it has a search bar, type it in. More than likely, you'll end up finding me, whether that's Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, PC, whatever it is. And then hit me up in the DMs if you want to talk about games, you want to group up, whatever the case may be. Just keep in mind, I am a PvP focused gamer. But with that being said, again, Miss Joanna Dark, man, I love the perspective that you've always come from. I've loved seeing your energy since you've come into the community, at least from what since I've seen you, and that's been quite a while at this point. So it's an amazing thing, and I definitely want to reciprocate that love right back to you, because again, you're another one of those that definitely hits it at a different angle, and that's what makes this gaming space, this gaming community so great. Is the different perspectives, is the different angles. How can we grow if we don't learn from each other? And then Zemi, same for you, man. You got your opinions, you got your perspectives, and I can do nothing but respect that, and I love that about you. You're an amazing individual yourself. Keep at it. I know you got a lot of major things going on behind the scenes for yourself. And other than that, ladies and gentlemen, like Boom said, hit that like button, share it, Boom out. We got to get Boom to 15K now.
Listen, I told my brother,
I
had my brother laughing, and I'm like, so what's the goal now? I'm like, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm going all in. I want 25K, bro.
25,
I want the.
I knew I get it out.
You have to acquire. Who are you going to acquire, Boom, to get there?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm hoping that Microsoft acquires me, to be honest.
There you go.
Organic growth.
Listen,
there you go.
Phil could have me anytime he wants, bro. It's all right.
That's hilarious.
But listen, dude, just keep doing what you're doing. You and Pong, every week it's more and it's more and it's more people watching, and it's because it's a show that you definitely got to watch. But last but no way least, making his return, the prodigal son himself, the brave Zemi Games. Zemi, listen, it's great to work with you again. Steel Rain says, you got some great things going on in the background that are, we'll learn later on, hopefully as the year progresses. We miss you on the show on a weekly basis, but we love having you guests because obviously you do bring a sense of different opinions to a lot of the conversations we have, and we absolutely love that about you. By all means, brother, tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media and what else you got going on.
Well, I can't talk about anything else I have going on, but I am working on something. It's a super secret project. Really excited about it. I'll say this, Boom. For the longest time, my sleep schedule has been terrible. I'm sure you know this, right?
Yes.
And for like the last, for like the last month, every single day I've been waking up at 8 a.m. because I cannot wait to just like get into this chair and start working.
Nice,
and
man. That's awesome.
Yeah. But what I've been working on, hopefully I will be able to unveil to everyone hopefully in like the next 3 months, I would imagine, and I cross my fingers and hope. But anyway, if you guys do want to follow me, about pretty much the only place that I'm still actively on right now is Twitter, and that's @Zemi Games. I post just gaming related stuff and some personal stuff and just a bunch of randomness, I guess. I haven't posted a food pic in a very, very long time. I should do that. I should make a pie. I should actually make that chocolate pie I said I was going to make a long time.
This is crazy.
I've been going out and buying a lot of donuts, and so I haven't been baking. No, I do need to do that sometime. I'll figure something out. But anyway, @Zemi Games on Twitter, and I will hopefully be back on the show soon with some news about what I've been doing.
Absolutely, and we look forward to that. Listen, once again, ladies and gentlemen, Thank you so much for tuning in and making this particular podcast on this channel a success. The Xbox Factor podcast is powered by the people, and obviously we don't have a show unless you tune in. And again, today was a big show, 400 over almost 400 people. That's a big deal. And I cannot thank you enough for supporting Double Barrel Gaming. It is something that both my wife and I dream to do. And Mrs. Boomstick, I don't know. Again, I can't say she'll never be on camera. Eventually, maybe. But she does a lot of work behind the scenes, and I could not do this channel without her. Her support and a lot of knowledge. She's not a gamer per se, but her knowledge on what makes this channel work is what makes this channel work. So I'm always thankful for that, and I'm thankful for all of the super chats that come in. Those allow us to obviously give back. We did a lot of monster giveaways last year, which we are going to continue this year. And the last big one was we gave away over $1,000 worth of content for anyone that just tuned in for the Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick, and we're gonna try and at least bring that up by 50% next year. This year, rather. We're going to see if we can, raise that, because obviously we get so many super chats and we want to reinvest that into the community. But I'll close out the show with something that is important to me. Hopefully one day, folks, it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us, and I'm never sorry to say it. He said, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor podcast.